book lovers, and welcome back or welcome to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. I am here to start the week 4 of Orilium Vlog. Alright guys, so this should be my final Orilium vlog. Other than my nonfiction book, I do plan on finishing the last 2 books that I need to for this readathon. Here are the 3 books that I will be working on this week. I am currently about 50% through Wolf Gone Wild by Juliet Cross. If you want to see my initial thoughts on this, you can check out week 3's vlog. Unfortunately, I'm not loving the story. The romance isn't speaking to me too much, and sometimes I find myself a little bit bored by the story. I do feel like there's going to be some events in this book that do interest me, and that's kind of what's keeping me going at this point. But otherwise it's just not hitting the way that I would want it to. This is a fantasy romance, or would it be considered kind of paranormal, because it includes vampires, werewolves, witches, Grimms. We are following Evie, who is a witch specifically. Her specialty is hex breaking. And then we are following Mateo, sorry. We are following Mateo, who is a werewolf who is unable to shift, and he thinks a hex is on him, so he has gone to Evie in hopes of getting help. Alongside that, I will continue to work on my nonfiction book, which is Evicted, which is just a book that follows a few different characters who are struggling with finding stable housing. This book has been very informative so far. I'm on page 134 on chapter 10. I do want to get to the halfway point, so I have about another 40 or so pages that hopefully I can squeeze in this week. And the book that I'll be talking about later, I'm not going to go too much into it until I actually start the book, and that is Moonspun Magic. This is a book that I added on later on after DNFing These Violent Nights, which was my initial book for, I believe, elemental studies. Flowers on the cover. As you can see, this has flowers on the cover, so I will get more into that when I actually get around to it. But for now, I'm about to head out and do some shopping with my mom. We're probably gonna go to the nursery. I owe her a tree for her birthday, and then we'll probably go downtown, hopefully grab some lunch. I think I need to stop by the library, and I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of shopping because the weather is nice and it makes me want to buy some cute summer clothing. So I will go ahead and check in with you guys later. So it is Sunday morning, the last day of April, and I figured I'd just check in real quick on my reading. I am on page 267, so I have pretty much like 100 pages left in this book. It would be kind of cool if I could finish it today so that I can talk about it in my April wrap up, but we'll see how it goes. I don't have too much going on today. I have some chores I still need to do, and I would like to edit the video that I recorded yesterday, which was my spoiler-filled review of The Sword of Kagon, because I do not know if that turned out good. The whole time I was doing that, I was like, I have no idea what I'm saying. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I may post it, but it may be a little messy, so just a heads up. As far as this book goes, thoughts are still pretty similar to how they were. I feel like with this book, I am very interested in the plot to see where it goes and who put this hex or this curse on Mateo, and to kind of see how they resolve this issue and everything like that. But as far as like the characters and the romance, that I just don't really care about, and the writing isn't doing too much for me either. So right now this is definitely sitting at a low 3-star, and I don't foresee it like increasing by too much, but still got 100 pages, so who knows, it may creep up to like a 3.5, but we will keep chugging. I do have a package that arrived. I think I know what it is because I've seen quite a few people getting this book, and I'm 90% sure that I pre-ordered this. So let's see if I can. Nope. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, okay, it is. I couldn't remember if I pre-ordered this book. This is why I don't like to pre-order, because I forget. And honestly, they could just never send me the book and just take my money and I wouldn't know. But this is TJ Klune's newest book, In the Lives of Puppets. I believe this is kind of like a Pinocchio retelling, or like inspired Pinocchio, or by Pinocchio. I haven't really heard anyone talking about this, probably because it just recently came out. But I have to admit, personally, I'm not super interested in this story, but I do want to read everything by TJ Klune. I believe this follows robots, even though it says puppets, and they are a family, and one of them gets kidnapped or something, and they have to go off and rescue that robot. I believe there's also a romance in his books, as there usually are, a queer romance, and I believe that this book also is said to have asexual representation. I think I heard that at some point, which I always enjoy. So I will probably read this at some point. I do kind of want to make my way through TJ Klune's backlog, so I was planning on buying another one of his books at some point this year and making my way through that. So I'm not sure if this is the next book from him that I'll read, but it's on my shelf, so you know, if my TBR game gives me a prompt to read this, it could happen. I do really like this cover. I just really like the green aesthetic that's going on here, and I don't have a lot of green books, so you know, if I ever get a color generator prompt, at least I know I have something if I pull green. All right, so I'm gonna go off and unclog my sink drain, because that's my big chore of the day and a bit of a hassle. I don't know if I'll check in with you at any point today, unless of course I do accomplish my goal of finishing this book, but either way, I will talk to you later. I'm back. I was just checking out this book, and the inside of it is very cute. So on the cover, I guess we have one of the little robots. So he's got his little wiggly arms, and then on the inside we have these really cute end pages, and I believe the other side is the same. Yeah, so yeah, just wanted to show that off because it's very cute.
They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous, but I don't give a fuck, I'ma keep chasing. I got all this potential that's deep inside of me, but they hate when you're successful cause they try to be. They sit there being judgmental because you're trying things, and they just want you to settle and do the right thing. So get a good job, don't slack off. Wake up every morning, make a good impression on your boss. Don't do anything that...
Hey guys, I just wanted to jump on real quick and talk about something that's not bookish, but is a little bit personal, and I know that some people may be going through this right now at that time of year where you switch out your winter clothes for your summer clothes. I usually take this opportunity to try on a lot of things and kind of clean out my closet based off of things that are just getting a little too worn, aren't my style anymore, and clothes that doesn't fit anymore. As you can see, I have a pretty big stack here, and the majority of this clothes is clothes that is at this time too small for me and will probably be too small for me for the rest of my life. I'm at that point in my life where I have left the last of my young teenage body behind and am fully in my woman body, as I call it. So a lot of those clothes I've had since high school, which is going on almost 10 years now. But it is still a bit difficult for me to admit that I'm not as skinny as I used to be. I have been on a pretty good journey with my body over the last year. I've been going to the gym pretty consistently since June of last year and have definitely been seeing results. But despite that and losing a lot of my COVID weight, my body is still different than it used to be. I'm bigger in certain areas, which is good for me in certain areas. In the hip area, I do enjoy having a curvier body, but it still makes trying on clothes a little bit difficult for me. I know that this cleanse of my closet is definitely overdue. I have been putting it off, not just because I wanted to, be ignorant about the amount of clothes that I own that doesn't fit me anymore, but because cleaning out my closet to this degree definitely means that I need to do some shopping. And shopping still brings up a lot of insecurities for me with certain problem areas, but that's definitely something that I'm working on, and I know a lot of other people are working on as well, especially with summer clothing. Things are a little bit more revealing, and sometimes that can make us a little bit more insecure about how our body looks. But as I recently found when I discovered a beautiful green dress that you may have seen in a previous vlog, finding clothes that makes you happy and makes you love yourself is possible, and that you just need to really enjoy the experience of dressing yourself. I used to love fashion, and that's definitely fallen away, not just because of me having put on some weight, but because of COVID and me working at home and being in sweatpants all the time. And I'm really kind of hoping to rekindle that love of styling an outfit and just finding something that I feel really beautiful in. So I'm going to see if my sister wants any of this, and then otherwise I'm gonna pass it on to someone else, and hopefully soon I find some cute new clothes to add to my clothing collection. So it is Sunday evening, a little bit before 9, and I have finished A Wolf Gone Wild for the end of the month. So very proud of myself for getting through the last part of this today. So this does complete my shape shifting course for Orilium. I went back and forth a little bit on my rating with this because, as you guys know, I wasn't having the greatest time with this story. I have to admit, sometimes this fluctuated between a 3 and a 2.5. This book actually annoyed me at some points, and dragged at other parts of it. There were definitely some parts where I found myself skimming more than reading, and the skimming portions were definitely more during the romantic scenes, including some of the smut scenes. And I feel like they were relatively well written. It's just I didn't have a strong connection to the couple, and so therefore obviously their sex scenes didn't really do anything for me. That, you know, but I did decide to end up giving this a 3-star just because there were a few moments. Just a moment, my cat wants to be let out. All right, I don't know if this shifted when I got on and off the bed, so sorry. But as I was saying, there were some moments in this book that I thought were cute, and I was entertained by the plot. I definitely wanted to see where the story took us. It was just the characters and the romance that never really spoke to me, so I am giving this like a low 3 stars, but still a 3-star. I don't think I'm gonna continue with the series. The author was very heavy-handed with letting us know who the love interests for the other sisters are gonna be, but I have to admit, just based off of that, I don't really have any interest in their story, so I'm just gonna leave it at this and call it a day. A quick update on my audiobook. I'm not really gonna let you know what my thoughts are because I've only read the first 30 minutes or listened to the first 30 minutes. And my hold on Libby came in for A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. So that's the second book to A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. So I'm very excited that that came in, and I did start it today, but like I said, no thoughts yet. But I'm sure tomorrow I will be able to listen to some more of it while I'm at work. As far as my next physical read, we will be going into my final fiction read for Orilium, and this will fulfill the prompt for elemental studies, flowers on the cover. This is a historical romance called Moonspun Magic by Catherine Cutler. And I believe, from what I remember of the synopsis, this is about a woman who is in an abusive marriage that she ends up running away from and ends up stumbling across her husband's twin brother and striking up a romance with him. So it sounds like an interesting concept. I do think this is a relatively popular and well-received book within the historical romance genre. I've been looking to dip my toe more into this genre, so I'm very excited to see what my thoughts are. Not sure if I'm going to start it tonight, but tomorrow for sure. All right, so those are my updates, and I will check in with you later. Hey guys, so I am on my 3 o'clock break on Tuesday, so I haven't checked in with you for a little while. Yesterday, I did not do a lot of reading. I was just kind of tired and a little bit brain dead, so I didn't really have anything to update you on. I apologize if there's any noise. We're still getting some work on our house done, but I just wanted to give you a little update. As far as my nonfiction book, I don't have it here with me, but you've seen it a gajillion times at this point. I completed another 2 chapters, so I'm on page like 150 something, I think. I've decided that I'm going to read 2 chapters in between my other fiction books just to improve my chances of actually finishing this book by the end of May, because I did not reach the 50% point of this book. I think I have another 20 or so pages. And as you may remember, my goal for April was to get 50% through, and I didn't quite reach that. But we're not going to stress about it too much. We're going to switch up our strategy a little, and hopefully that pays off. Otherwise, I am still working on a common orbit. I don't even remember what it was called. The Becky Chambers book, her and her long titles. I am at 40 something percent of this book. I haven't been listening to audiobooks as frequently at work, even though I still have the time and I'm still working the workload. I feel like I might have just burnt myself out on them a little bit last week because I was powering through them so quickly. So I'm just listening to it a little bit at a time. But in this book, we're not following the same characters as before. We are following Lovelace, who is an AI who has been placed in a human body, which is technically illegal. So she's just kind of trying to learn how to come across as human. This isn't a decision that she really made for herself. She was technically given the option to not do this, but she did feel that it was the best course of action for those around her and didn't really take her own feelings into account. And that's causing her some issues with her personal happiness at this here moment where she is trying to adjust to not being an AI that controls an entire spaceship, but is rather just in control of this little limited human body. So that's an interesting aspect of the story. She is living with Pepper and Pepper's partner Blue. Pepper is a character that we see in the first book. I believe she kind of works a lot with like technology and mechanical side of it and whatnot, and she's kind of the one that provided the human kit for Lovelace and is helping her adjust to that. We also get to see Pepper's past. She grew up on a planet where certain children are raised to work on junk and kind of sort that junk and repair the junk so that it is usable again. In that timeline, she discovers that there is something outside of the factory, a whole world, a whole universe, and she is interacting with a spaceship, an AI within a spaceship, I should say, out in the junkyard and just learning about the world and how to survive on her own, as well as repairing the spaceship so that the two of them can go ahead and escape from this planet. I am once again really enjoying Becky Chambers' work. I'm attached to the character. She has really great character dynamics and development throughout her stories. Once again, it's a lot of fun interacting with different types of aliens and getting to learn a little bit more about their cultures and whatnot. There was this one scene where they went to like, it would almost be considered kind of like a fertility ceremony, but it was really just kind of like a party where, you know, you can get down and whatnot. And our character Lovelace was talking to these characters who were fathers, and it was something they went to school for. Like, they went to school so that they could take care of a woman when she was ready to have children, and to take care of her while she was pregnant and during the birth, and then to take care of the children afterwards. And he was like, no offense, but you humans like don't train at all to like take care of your kids or anything. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of true. I feel like a lot of parents don't really know what they're doing, and that, you know, it'll just come naturally and whatnot. But I mean, of course, I'm not a parent, so what can I say? But I really like the idea of someone having to do some sort of professional training to be a decent parent. And not only that, but that they kind of raised them in a group setting, and that there were people that specialized in certain aspects of the child's life, whether that's, musical, arts, or schooling, or being the one that makes the food, whatnot. I just thought that that was a really unique family dynamic, and one that I personally think humans could benefit a little bit from. But yes, like I said, still enjoying that, and we'll probably read that a bit more today because I still have a couple hours at work, and then I'm hoping to enjoy this nice weather and go for a walk, and I often listen to an audiobook while I do that. Last but not least, I did finally start Moonspun Magic. I am already 45 pages through this book. So far, we have met our main male character, Raphael, and it seems that he was taking part in the war against Napoleon, but that he was kind of outed by a spy, and so the military is like, hey, it's time for you to retire, because you can no longer go undercover or whatever, and he's feeling pretty bummed about that. He's definitely the kind of person who is a man of action, wants to feel useful, wants to help people, wants to save people and whatnot, and is not happy to be returning home to where his sucky brother lives. Speaking of his sucky brother, I thought he was Victoria, is that her name? Yeah, Victoria. I thought he was Victoria's husband, but he is her cousin's husband. He just wants to sleep with her, and she's like, I don't want to sleep with you because you're married to my cousin and I think you're a creep. But obviously he's trying to force himself on her, and at the part where I am at, she is preparing to run away. She had been hoping to marry this guy. I think his name was David, and the evil brother, whatever his name is, Damien. There's too many D names in this book, by the way. Damien, I guess, told this David guy that he had slept with her and that she might be pregnant. And so obviously David was like, I don't want a ruined woman. And she was like, but he's lying. And then he was like, your mom was a hoe. And I was like, what the hell? Men, they just better to be without them. But yeah, so far I'm definitely very invested in the story. I feel like a story with a character that you hate is really easy to get through because you're just waiting for the end when that person gets the punishment that they deserve. I'm gonna fly through this book because I want this guy to die or something, or go to jail, or have something terrible happen to him. But yeah, so I'm enjoying it, so that's a good sign for me potentially getting really into historical romance. All right, so I'm going to skedaddle back to work, and I will check in with you later. I'm still in love with my ex, and it's just my luck. Wish I didn't care so much, 'cause me and her don't make sense, and it fucks me up. I'm still in love, but love sucks.
Before you and I, what was hers was mine. And I'm sorry, I swear I thought that my heart was ready, but I can't keep her off my mind. And I'm not alright. I had a thought when I was faded, why they call it love when you hate it. I'm still in love with my ex, and it's just my luck. Wish I didn't care so much, 'cause me and her don't make sense, and it bugs me up. I'm still in love, but love sucks. Love sucks. Love sucks. Let me lay you in inside my bed, 'cause I don't really have a heart to say. Take a look in there, tell me if it's anything you wanna fuck with.
Such a long time. I liked it when I read it too, but YA just, it ain't my bag, baby. It ain't my bag, baby. Oh. This is dating my shelves. I just want it to look fresh and hip for all you ladies out there. Oh. What are you doing in my life?
Hello, I'm here on my lunch break with my fried rice. So I'm probably gonna do this semi-fast so my food doesn't get cold. I have a couple updates to make about my reading. One, I did finish A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. I am going to give this a 4.5 stars. I really did think it was going to be like a 4-star, just slightly lower than the first one, but the last hour of that audiobook really got me in my feels, so I do have to give it a 4.5 rating. All right, sorry, I adjusted that. I felt like that last one made me look like I was like really short or something. Yeah, I really, once again, loved her characters in the story. I really enjoyed the two timelines that we were reading from and how they came together. Once again, I thought there was a lot of great discussions had in this book. This book did focus a little bit more on purpose and kind of finding yourself, finding your place, finding your people. And so it had kind of similar themes to the Monk and Robot series. So if you read that series from her and really enjoyed the messages in there, I think you would really enjoy the second book in the Wayfair series, I believe it's called. So yeah, I had a really great time, you know, teared up a little bit just because of how heartwarming the story was. And yeah, that's all my hungry brain has to say on that. I did start another audiobook and I'm actually already 21% through that one as well. This is called A Dash of Salt and Pepper by Kosoko Jackson. This is a male contemporary romance. We seem to be following two characters and I know neither of their names at this point. But one of them left his small town when he was young to go to university so that he could become a very successful businessman, and things seemed to be going really well for him, and then everything kind of fell apart and he now finds himself back with his parents, just trying to pick himself up and figure out what he's gonna do next. We're also following a character. So far we haven't followed from his point of view yet, so I don't know if this is a single POV, which I usually don't like as much in romance, but it is what it is. But he is the owner of a restaurant in the small town and is friends with our other main character's parents. He is also a single dad. Pretty much our main character got a opportunity to go to Berlin, I think it was, somewhere with a B, to take part in some sort of apprenticeship, I think it is, but it would cost him $5,000, which he doesn't have right now. So he is going to spend the next few weeks working at this guy's restaurant so that he can get the funds to do that. I'm assuming that they are probably going to fall in love. So far, I'm enjoying it to a degree. It was a bit of a rough start for me. I felt that the way that our main character spoke had a lot of, and I always forget the phrase that they say, like cultural references. No, I don't feel like that's the word. It's kind of like when they bring up like TV shows that are popular kind of situation, making references to like certain fandoms and things like that, and that just kind of cheapened his dialogue for me a little bit, but he is growing on me, so I am starting to enjoy him as a narrator a bit more. There's definitely some family drama going on, and so I think it will be a good time, hopefully. My final update is Moonspun Magic. I am on chapter 5, page 78, so I haven't read too much more since I last checked in, so I don't have too many more thoughts. Our characters have now met. Our main character, our female, mistook a single campfire for a village and walked up to it thinking it was, you know, the village she was trying to get to, and it was actually smugglers, and therefore our main male character needed to save her from those people. And once they kind of figure out that he was not Damon, or whatever his name is, Damien, he decides that he is going to take her to London, where she's trying to go, so that she can get her inheritance and doesn't have to be dependent on Damien anymore. I get a little confused sometimes. The way that it's written, it kind of like jumps from whose point of view we're seeing things from paragraph to paragraph. So there's not like you're in someone's head for a chapter, or even to like a natural break. You're just kind of like popping in between the two of them from like sentence to sentence, which is a little bit weird. And it's also sometimes very obvious that this book was written quite a long time ago. Sometimes some of the things they say, you're like what like we were looking at the point of view of our main character's cousin, and kind of her reaction to our main character Victoria running away, and Damien was making like sexual passes at her, and she's like, I'm breeding, because she's pregnant. I was like, you're what? And it was super weird, but you know, still I think I'll have a good time with the story, so I will update you at a later date.
I'm sorry, I swear I thought that my heart was ready, but I can't keep her off my mind. And I'm sorry you won't.
Hey guys, so it is a Thursday. I'm on my lunch break. I do have an appointment later today, which is why I'm kind of dressed up, but I haven't done my hair yet. But I wanted to do a quick reading update at this time. I'm on page 137 of Moonspun Magic. I am having a really good time with this book. It's a lot of fun. It's really dramatic. I'm surprised by like how kind of intense it is. There was this one part where I was just like so invested in the story that I feel like I pulled something in my throat. You know, when you're like so tense that your muscles like spasm or something, and I was like, girl, you gotta calm down. But I am having a really good time with this. Our characters are trying to make sure that our main character Victoria is going to get her inheritance, because it seems that Raphael's brother has been misusing those funds, and they found out that she does not get access to those funds until she is 25, or if she gets married. And since she's just turning 19 in a couple months, it's obviously not going to be beneficial for them to wait until she turns 25. So she proposes a marriage of convenience, and he agrees, because obviously he has started to develop feelings for her, and also does not want his brother to have any more power over her. So that's kind of where we're at with the story right now. So his brother did come and find them and kind of confronted Raphael about giving Victoria to him, and Raphael was just like, nah, not gonna happen. So Damien was kind of like, you won this round, brother, and it was all very dramatic, and I loved every moment of it. But obviously I'm not even 50% through the book, so there's still gonna be plenty of shenanigans occurring. There's a couple players that could be a potential threat to our characters that were introduced throughout this first part of the book. There is someone called the Ram, who seems to be kind of the leader of a satanic cult. The cult seems to be made of primarily wealthy young men who want to push the borders of what is allowed in society and wickedness and things like this. This book does have triggers for sexual assault. This cult does take young virgins and gang rapes them, because there's like 10 or so members, and every single one of them has sex with this woman. She is usually drugged in this situation. The other threat is a smuggler called the Bishop, I believe, and I don't know too much about him. He seems to be someone who has been active in the area for a long time. The Ram, the satanic cult, does kind of operate near Raphael's hometown. So now that he's retired from the military, the government has kind of asked him to look into this situation. So I'm assuming that once they are married, they will head back to their hometown to settle there, and so he can do this job. I am still really enjoying this book, and the humor that is present in here. It has made me laugh quite a few times, whether the author is trying to make us laugh or just because the old-timey way of talking is sometimes a little bit humorous for me. But yes, having a good time. As far as my audiobook goes, A Pinch of Salt and Pepper, I believe is what it's called, I am now at like 84% with that book. It would be nice if I finished that today. And I am enjoying this story. I enjoy I don't want to say I like super enjoy their relationship. I feel like the way that it's progressing is kind of choppy, pun intended, considering they're both chefs. But it's just like there was this one scene where the chef Logan asks our main character Xavier to watch over the restaurant because he needs to go meet up with his ex-wife, who is looking to introduce her fiance to their daughter for the first time. And he kind of gives one of the reasons for why he puts Xavier in charge, because he's like, I've shared a bed with you and I've shared a lot of other things with you, and so I trust you. And I was like, when did these guys have sex? Like, how did I miss that? That's not something that I would miss. But apparently they did at some point have sex, and I just completely missed it. So it just, sometimes the relationship seems to like jump and progress pretty dramatically within a blink of an eye, and I'm kind of left reeling. But other than that, I do think the two of them work relatively well together. Xavier is like 13 years younger, I think, than Logan, so there's definitely an age gap going on here. And sometimes Xavier is very snarky, which I think is kind of a defense mechanism for him, because I feel like it's definitely mellowed out throughout the book, but that definitely made him seem a lot younger than his love interest. But like I said, that seems to be mellowing out, so I'm definitely approving of the romance a bit more than I was at the beginning. I feel like I should scoot over a little bit more so this picture can be bigger. Other than that, I do like some of the discussions that we're having about Xavier's professional decisions and achievements and goals. He is a young Black man who is coming from a small town, not from a big city, not from a wealthy family or anything like that, but he wants very much to be successful in the business world and has fought very hard for that. As I mentioned at the beginning of this book, that all kind of fell apart. And he's still working very hard to achieve that goal, but he's also kind of reevaluating his priorities and the kind of people that he wants to be around and the kind of person that he wants to be, because obviously the person that he was raised to be is very different than the person he became while he was in that cutthroat business school. So him having discussions about the kind of person that he wants to be, while also trying to let people know that he needs to work harder, he needs to be tougher, he needs to be more out there grabbing attention, because he is a Black man and is not the kind of person you see as much in the business world, the higher business world, and therefore he needs to prove himself even more. So enjoying those conversations that are being had kind of throughout the book as our character is kind of figuring out what he wants to do, because obviously when he first arrived in this small town, he was like, I'm gonna get out as soon as possible. And now that he is in a you know, committed relationship with someone that he feels he can really be himself with, things are definitely changing. So I'm interested to see how he resolves this issue, because obviously we want to support Black people within the higher business world, but you know, obviously we also want them to be happy and comfortable and live the life that's best for them. And if that's in a small town or in a big city, that's up to him. So yeah, enjoying both of my reads. I am leaving work a little early today because I have to go get an estimate on a repair on my car, which, considering the damage is to the bumper, is probably gonna cost me like $1,000, maybe more. I'm honestly like expecting them to tell me it's gonna be like over $1,000. So yeah, other than that, I might go to Barnes and Noble afterwards to kind of browse, not to buy any books, because one, if someone tells you, hey, yours $2,000, you don't go out and buy books. But you can, because it would probably make you feel better. But still, I mean, I have a ton of unread books on my shelf. I'm kind of like in a bit of a mini book buying ban. So I'm probably just gonna kind of browse, see if there's anything new out there for me to add to my want to read list, because it's not as if that's long enough. Anyway, I don't know if I'll check in with you guys again today, but I will definitely check in with you tomorrow. Now, tomorrow is Friday, which is usually when I would end this vlog, but I do not foresee myself reading all this. So since I wasn't planning on doing a vlog next week, I'm just gonna extend this vlog until I finish this book, and you might start seeing bigger gaps in between when I check in with you, just so I can get in the important parts and then wrap this vlog up without it being like an hour and a half long. And I totally forgot to mention, I was watching a YouTube video and someone mentioned the term that I couldn't think of yesterday, and it was pop culture references, not just cultural references, pop culture references. There are a lot of these in the Salt and Pepper book, and you know, I feel like I'm growing more accustomed to them, so they're not bothering me as much. But as someone who doesn't get a lot of cultural references, sometimes he says something and I was like, I have literally no idea what you're talking about. So it takes me a little bit out of the story. But yes, just wanted to throw out that I found that term that I was looking for. Now this is a salad. We have cabbage, spinach, lettuce, my homemade pickled onions, my homemade roasted chickpeas, carrots, apple, blueberries, some pepper, and of course the Asian sesame salad. Oh, and I think I have some red peppers in here as well. Oh my god, and I almost forgot Mr. Avocado. Mr. Overpriced, always on the verge of being rotten avocado.
Sliding doors, just wanna know you more. I hope you wanna be with somebody, spending all of the night moonwalking. And with the view she could see her building, try to tell her I know I feel it. Keep me floating, I'm on my back. Slow me down when I'm living fast. You make me wanna with somebody, doing things that I usually don't.
Hey guys, so I just got done in Barnes & Noble. I was very good and I didn't buy anything, but I did add like a ton of books to my want to read list, so happy about that. I wanted to check in because on my drive up here I did actually end up finishing my audiobook, A Pinch of Salt and Pepper, and I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. There were quite a few things that I liked about this book. Sometimes the humor really hits, sometimes it was a little bit cheesy. I did also, as I mentioned, enjoy the discussions of Black men in business and the additional work and expectations that is placed on them to be seen as equals to their white counterparts. So those discussions I really did like. However, I just kind of struggled to fully get invested in the romance. I just never felt like I could fully support it or anything like that. Like I mentioned, it was kind of a bit of a choppy romance, so it wasn't really smooth, it wasn't overly natural feeling or anything like that. I could definitely see the two of them being a good couple. I just think that the way that the romance progressed prevented me from being a true cheerleader of the relationship. So that is why I'm just giving it a 3.5 star rating, but still a good time. I do not know what audiobook I'm gonna read next. I don't have anything lined up at this point, but I'm gonna go ahead and head home and maybe get some reading done today because I've not been doing much physical reading. My audiobooks have been going great, but physical reading wise, I definitely need to pick up the pace a little bit. All right, I need to pop in here for just a second because this book is cracking me up. So I don't know if I mentioned that this book technically has like disability rep in it because our main female character has a really big jagged scar on her leg and damage to the muscle in this leg, which if she walks like too far or is in like a sitting position or on a horse for too long, it causes her a lot of pain and makes it very difficult for her to move. And this is something that she has been hiding from Raphael because she tries to hide it from pretty much everyone because she feels a lot of shame around her disfigurement, as she says. So as I may have said the last time I updated you, the two of them were like, we got to get married, marriage of convenience. And our main character, Raphael, was like, I want us to be like husband and wife. Like, I don't just want this to be like a fake marriage where we like never hang out or anything. Like, I want us to be husband and wife. And she was like, oh, well, I'm totally down with that. And so they get married, and on their wedding night, she's like, oh, I haven't told him about my scar yet. And so they're like making out, and she's like, oh, this is so nice, I'm having such a good time. And then she's like, oh, I gotta tell him about my scar. And so she's like, wait, we gotta stop real quick because I need to tell you something. And this guy, this idiot, was like, you're not a virgin, are you? You lied about that. You slept with my brother. You slept with my brother. You might be pregnant with his child. And she's like, the hell are you talking about? She's like, what? And anyway, so now he's all mad about her possibly not being a virgin. And this girl, she's not having it. She's like, how do you know if a man's a virgin? Like, are you a virgin? How does a virgin act? Every time you try to touch me, should I scream? Should I faint? Does a virgin know how to play cards? How to shuffle cards? How can you tell I'm a virgin or not? And she's being so sassy about it. And this guy is like, and I was like, well, you're being dumb. So obviously she's going to treat you like the idiot you are. And I'm enjoying every single moment of this. This guy needs to come to his freaking senses because the fact that he is just like, I'm making such a big deal out of this I swear. But I am loving this female character. Victoria is such a funny, sassy character, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. Hey guys, so it is still a Friday. It is 3 o'clock, so I'm on my last break of the day. The work week is almost over. Woo! But I just wanted to update you on my audiobook. While I'm totally dragging on my physical read, I am just winning with my audiobooks because I did start one this morning and finished it because it was only like 9 hours long, and as you may know, I listen to my audiobooks on 2x speed, so I just powered through that. And the book I read was I'll Be the One by Layla Lee. This is a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time, especially since I read XOXO by Axio. And then I also read another book called Once Upon a K-Prom, and I can't remember who the author of that one was. But those drama vibes are always just such a great time, and this one also has bi representation as well as fat rep, and we are following our main character Layla, and she has been a dancer her entire life as well as a singer. So she decides to sign up for this kind of K-pop competition that is happening in America, just because K-pop has become more popular within the States and around the world. They decided to bring this competition to the US, and she decides to compete, even though she is plus sized, which in Korea is still very much looked down on. They're not quite as body positive as we are here in America, and throughout the entire story, that is something that she needs to fight against from both judges and people that view the show. And unfortunately, one of the people that are not in her corner and are very ashamed of her fatness is her mother. Her mother, her entire life, has tried to get her to lose weight, to quit dancing and just focus on singing, because she does not feel that fat people should dance. And so she has very much been bullied by her mother her entire life. Luckily, while she's in this competition, she makes some wonderful friends, including from a lesbian couple that is there, who I absolutely love throughout this book. They were a great support, as well as a few of the other competitors, and a very special competitor named Henry, who is actually part of a very well-known Korean family, but he doesn't live in Korea. He lives in the US and is a model. And he decides to join this competition to kind of show that he's more than just a pretty face, and the two of them end up becoming friends and then eventually end up becoming more. This romance was so sweet, especially since the both of them do have some insecurities going into this. He wants to show people that he is more than just a model and that he deserves the love and respect that he gets from his fans. He also has a strained relationship with his parents for a reason that I'm not going to go into because that's spoilery. And then obviously she has her issues with her mom and her body image issues, and just the two of them lifting each other up and working hard together so that they can do their best in this competition and just really prove themselves to those who have put them down, their families, as well as just the world as a whole. So overall, I had such a wonderful time with this story. I felt it was really heartwarming and a lot of fun. There was a lot of good humor. There was, of course, some of the overly dramatic scenes. There were people that were saying things where you're like, would anyone actually say that? And unfortunately, some people would, because they're terrible people. But it just added a lot of drama to the whole situation, and just watching our characters react to those situations and stand up for themselves was a lot of fun. And of course, the romance was really sweet as well. So I'm actually gonna give this a 4.5 stars just because I powered through it and I was smiling the whole time, and it was just such a fun read. It was one I was really looking forward to getting to, and it definitely lived up to my expectations. So I just wanted to pop in, let you know about that. And I will try to focus more on my physical read moving forward. And hopefully I get through that by the end of the weekend at the latest. Everyone, so it is Sunday morning and I just finished the last 50 or so pages of Moon Spun Magic, so I am here to wrap up this vlog. I think I'm gonna give this book 3.5 stars. I had a really good time with it. There was a lot of humor, so I was constantly smiling and laughing along with the characters. Their relationship was a lot of fun. It was very sexy. The smut in this book was excellent. It's the kind of smut that I like. So it worked very well for me. As far as the characters go, I did really enjoy both of them. I did think Raphael was a bit annoying at times, but he is obviously a man written in a older book, so his behavior is probably very forward thinking considering the time, but for someone like me living in 2023, it's still not forward enough. So that sometimes turned me off from him a little bit, but of course I was always keeping in mind what time period this was written and set in. Victoria, I really did enjoy her. I think that she grew a lot throughout this book and definitely didn't take any crap from her husband, and stood her ground and was a little spitfire, so I did really enjoy her. As far as the plot, I would say the majority of the plot happens in like maybe the last quarter of the book, even maybe less. So it all happens relatively quickly there at the end. So I would definitely not pick this book up if you're someone who needs a plot forward book. This is definitely a romance, as you can tell from the cover. So the romance is definitely the main part of the story, but luckily I did like the romance, so I was completely fine with that. As far as the plot twist, it didn't go as I expected, so that's good because I thought I knew from the very beginning what was going to happen, and that did not end up happening. So I felt a bit of a fool, but it happens. Anyway, I had a good time with this. I do think I enjoy historical romances. If I do read them, it may be better for me to read ones that are written in present day, like the author is alive now kind of situation, just so that even though it's set in a historical setting, hopefully there is more like diversity, and the men treat the women even better, things like that, because it's written for a modern audience. So yes, as far as my Orilium goes, I have completed all but the one prompt, which was what, animal studies, heads or tails, to read my nonfiction book, and I'm giving myself till the end of the month to complete that. So yay, I think. So I don't have my computer right in front of me, so I'm not going to give a summary of what I did in this vlog because I don't even remember what books I read in this vlog. But you're here, you just watched it all, so you probably know even better than I do what I just read. But anyway, I'm going to take a little break from doing vlogs. I think I'm going to focus on the books that are part of a series or completing a series for the next week or so, however long it takes me to do that. And then maybe I'll do some vlogging again towards the end of the week because I do have a long weekend coming up, actually a couple long weekends coming up, due to some leave that I needed to use or lose, and as well as a holiday. But that being said, thank you so much for supporting my channel by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!